Have you ever worked really hard for something, only to have someone try to snatch it away from you? That's exactly what happened to me last year at Horizon Marketing, where I'd been working for 5 years. What my boss didn't know was that I wasn't going to just sit back and watch my dreams get crushed. Instead, I came up with a plan so clever that it not only saved my promotion, but changed our entire workplace for the better. Let me tell you how it all went down. I'm Jamie, and I've always been the kind of person who believes in working hard and playing by the rules. When I joined Horizon Marketing as a junior account manager, I was fresh out of college with big dreams and even bigger student loans. Our office was on the 20th floor of a glass and steel building downtown with an open floor plan that was supposed to encourage collaboration, but mostly just made it easy for everyone to see when you were having a bad day. From day one, I put everything I had into my work. I was often the first one in and the last to leave. I learned everything I could about our clients and the marketing industry. I volunteered for difficult projects that no one else wanted, and I always met my deadlines. My coworkers became like family to me, especially Raj and Sophia, who started around the same time I did. Then there was Marcus, my boss. He seemed nice enough at first, charming, well-dressed, and always ready with a joke or a story about his weekend adventures. But it didn't take long to notice how he took credit for other people's ideas, or how he'd mysteriously disappear whenever there was real work to be done. Still, he was the boss, and everyone seemed to love him, especially the higher-ups who only saw his polished presentations and confident smile. I tried not to let it bother me. I focused on my own work and my own goals. For 5 years, I climbed the ladder one small step at a time, earning tiny raises and words of praise in my performance reviews. And through it all, I kept my eyes on one prize, the senior account director position. It was a regular Tuesday morning when our department head, Victoria, called an impromptu meeting. The current senior account director, Harold, was retiring after 15 years with the company, and they were looking for someone to fill his position. This wasn't just any promotion. It meant a corner office, a team of my own, a 40% salary increase, and a seat at the decision-making table. "We'll be accepting applications from internal candidates over the next 2 weeks," Victoria announced, her eyes scanning the room. "We're looking for someone who embodies our company values, shows leadership potential, and has a proven track record of success with clients." My heart raced. This was it, the opportunity I'd been working toward for 5 years. I glanced around the room and caught Raj's eye. He gave me a thumbs up and mouthed, "It's yours." Sophia squeezed my arm encouragingly. But then I noticed Marcus. He wasn't looking at Victoria. He was looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read, something between calculation and concern. When our eyes met, he quickly smiled and looked away. That evening, I stayed late to update my resume and start drafting my application. The office was quiet, just the hum of the air conditioning and the distant sounds of traffic below. I was deep in concentration when Marcus appeared beside my desk, making me jump. "Working late again, Jamie?" he asked, leaning against my desk. "You know, I heard about Harold's position today. Exciting stuff." "Yeah, I'm actually working on my application now," I said, trying to sound casual. Marcus nodded slowly. "That's great. Good for you for being ambitious." He paused. "Though, between us, I think they're looking for someone with more executive presence. You know what I mean?" I didn't know what he meant, but something in his tone made me uneasy. "Anyway," he continued, straightening up, "don't stay too late. It's not good to seem desperate." And with that, he walked away, whistling to himself. As I packed up my things an hour later, I noticed the light was still on in Marcus's office. Through the glass wall, I could see him at his computer, typing intently. It wasn't until I was halfway home that it hit me. Marcus was going to apply for the position too. The next 2 weeks were some of the most stressful of my life. I put everything I had into my application, documenting my successes, gathering testimonials from satisfied clients, and preparing for the interview. But as the days passed, strange things started happening. First, I was assigned 3 new clients out of nowhere, all of them known for being difficult and demanding. When I asked Marcus about the sudden increase in my workload, he just shrugged. "The higher-ups think you can handle it," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Besides, if you're aiming for a senior position, you should show you can juggle multiple priorities, right?" Then my presentation files for an important client meeting mysteriously disappeared from the shared drive. I had to reconstruct them from scratch the night before, working until 3 a.m. to get everything ready. But the worst was yet to come. During a department meeting, Victoria asked for updates on the Bellingham account, one of our biggest clients, which I had helped secure last year. "Marcus has been telling me about the fantastic work you've been doing with them," Victoria said, smiling at me. Before I could respond, Marcus jumped in. "Actually, Jamie's been swamped with those new accounts I assigned, so I've been personally handling Bellingham for the past month. They were having some concerns about their campaign direction, but I've managed to smooth things over." I sat there, stunned. I hadn't heard anything about concerns from Bellingham. In fact, my last call with their marketing director had been overwhelmingly positive. After the meeting, I tried to corner Marcus. "What was that about Bellingham having concerns? This is the first I'm hearing of it." Marcus looked surprised. "Oh, they didn't contact you? That's strange. Mr. Bellingham called me directly last month. Maybe he didn't want to hurt your feelings." He patted my shoulder. "Don't worry about it. I've got it under control. You focus on those other accounts." That night, I couldn't sleep. My stomach was in knots. Marcus wasn't just applying for the same position. He was actively trying to sabotage my chances. And he was doing it in a way that made it look like he was helping me. I called Raj in a panic the next morning before work. "I don't know what to do," I told him, my voice shaking. "He's making me look incompetent, and I can't prove he's doing it on purpose." "Jamie, breathe," Raj said calmly. "Marcus is playing dirty, but you're smarter than him. You just need to find a way to show everyone what's really going on." "But how? It's his word against mine, and he's the boss." Raj was quiet for a moment. "What if you could get him to reveal his true colors? In front of everyone?" That's when the first seed of my plan began to form. I spent the next few days watching Marcus carefully and gathering information. I noticed he had a pattern. He would undermine people when no one else was watching, but play the charming, supportive boss in front of an audience. He also had a habit of taking credit for successful ideas, but blaming others when things went wrong. The interviews for the senior account director position were scheduled for the following week. I had 5 days to put my plan into action. First, I needed allies. I pulled Raj and Sophia aside during lunch and explained everything. "I need your help," I said, lowering my voice. "I have a plan, but I can't do it alone." They exchanged glances. "Whatever you need," Sophia said without hesitation. "Marcus has been getting away with this stuff for too long." My plan had 3 parts. 1. Create a fake opportunity that would be too tempting for Marcus to resist. 2. Set up a situation where his true behavior would be exposed. 3. Demonstrate my own capabilities in the process. For step 1, I enlisted Sophia's help. She had a friend who worked at a prestigious marketing journal. Together, we created a fake email from this journal requesting an interview with someone from Horizon Marketing about innovative social media strategies, specifically mentioning a campaign I had developed for one of our clients. "We'll send it to the general company email," I explained. "Marcus checks that inbox every morning. He won't be able to resist the chance to get featured in the journal, but he'll have to come to me for information about the campaign." For step 2, I needed Raj's technical expertise. "Can you set up a recording system for a conference call?" I asked him. "Something that will capture both audio and video?" Raj grinned. "Leave it to me. I can set up a system that will save everything to the cloud. Completely legal as long as we inform all participants that they're being recorded." The third part was the trickiest. I needed to create something so impressive that it would overshadow anything Marcus might try to claim credit for. I decided to develop a comprehensive new marketing strategy for Bellingham, the client Marcus had allegedly saved, that would address problems they didn't even know they had yet. I spent 3 nights researching industry trends and analyzing their competitors. I identified a gap in their market approach and developed a strategy that would put them years ahead of their competition. It was some of my best work, but I told no one about it, not even Raj and Sophia. With all the pieces in place, we set our plan in motion. On Monday morning, the fake email arrived in the company inbox. Just as I predicted, Marcus forwarded it to me within minutes with a note, "See me in my office." When I arrived, he was practically bouncing with excitement. "This is huge, Jamie. A feature in Marketing Innovators. It could mean national exposure for the company." I nodded, playing along. "It's an amazing opportunity. They seem really interested in the Reynolds campaign I developed." Marcus's smile faltered slightly. "Right, the Reynolds campaign. Refresh my memory on the details of that one?" This was my opening. "It was that social media strategy I presented last quarter, the one you helped me refine." This was completely false. Marcus had nothing to do with it, but I watched as he latched onto the credit I'd just offered him. Of course, I remember now. My suggestions really brought that campaign to the next level, didn't they? His eyes gleamed. Absolutely, I lied. In fact, the journal specifically wants to know about the innovative approach. They're hoping to do a video interview this Thursday. Marcus straightened his tie. Well, as your supervisor, I should probably handle this interview. It wouldn't be appropriate for a junior staff member to represent the company in such a prestigious publication. I feigned disappointment. I understand. Though they did specifically mention the Reynolds strategy, which is quite technical. Maybe we could do the interview together. You could handle the big picture questions, and I could chime in on the technical details. He considered this for a moment. That might work. Set it up for Thursday at 2 p.m., and send me all your notes on the Reynolds campaign so I can prepare. I spent the next 2 days feeding Marcus information about the Reynolds campaign, enough for him to sound knowledgeable in the interview, but with key details missing. Meanwhile, Raj set up the special recording system in our main conference room, and Sophia confirmed with her friend that they would play along with our ruse during the fake interview. Thursday arrived, and Marcus was dressed in his best suit. He'd even gotten a haircut. I led him to the conference room where Raj was waiting with the equipment. Why is Raj here? Marcus asked, frowning. IT insisted we needed technical support for the video connection, I explained smoothly. And I invited Victoria, too. I hope that's okay? I thought it would be good to have a senior executive present for such an important interview. Marcus's face lit up at the mention of Victoria. Excellent thinking. Victoria should definitely be here. Victoria arrived a few minutes later, looking curious about the proceedings. Raj announced that he was starting the recording, as required by the journal, and connected the video call. Sophia's friend appeared on screen, looking professional and introducing herself as the editor of Marketing Innovators. She began asking questions about the Reynolds campaign, which Marcus answered confidently, taking credit for all the innovative elements I had created. After about 15 minutes of this, she shifted gears. And now, I'd like to discuss the concerns that have been raised about the Bellingham account. I understand there have been some issues. Marcus froze for a split second before recovering. Yes, well, there were some challenges with the account that required my personal intervention. The client was dissatisfied with the initial approach, but I've managed to stabilize the situation. Victoria looked surprised. This is the first I'm hearing about problems with Bellingham. They're one of our most valuable clients. It wasn't a major issue, Marcus backpedaled. Just some minor concerns that Jamie wasn't equipped to handle. As the supervisor, I felt it was my responsibility to step in. The interviewer nodded sympathetically. And what specific solutions did you implement? Marcus began to flounder, making vague statements about strategic realignments and communication enhancements. I could see Victoria watching him closely, her brow furrowed. This was my moment. Actually, I said, pulling a folder from my bag, I've been working on a new strategy for Bellingham that I was planning to present next week. Since we're discussing it now, maybe I could share a quick overview. Victoria nodded encouragingly, and before Marcus could object, I launched into a concise presentation of my new strategy. I explained the market gap I'd identified and how my approach would set Bellingham apart from their competitors. I shared projected figures and timelines, all meticulously researched and prepared. When I finished, there was a moment of silence. That's impressive work, Jamie, Victoria said finally. Why wasn't I informed about this new direction? Marcus jumped in. Because I asked Jamie to develop it under my guidance. It's part of how I've been mentoring the team. He shot me a warning look. Though some of these ideas need refinement before they're ready for implementation. The interviewer cleared her throat. Mr. Marcus, could you explain which aspects of this strategy you contributed? The specifics seem quite cohesive. Marcus began to claim credit for various elements of my plan, growing more confident as he spoke. He even criticized parts of it, suggesting improvements that would actually undermine the entire strategy. And then came the moment we'd planned for. The interviewer said, I should mention that we've been recording this conversation for fact-checking purposes, as indicated at the start of our call. We take journalistic integrity very seriously, especially when reporting on leadership and innovation in the industry. The color drained from Marcus's face. He glanced at the camera, then at Victoria, who was watching him with growing suspicion. In fact, the interviewer continued, we've spoken with representatives from Bellingham directly, who expressed great satisfaction with Jamie's work and mentioned nothing about the concerns you described. Could you clarify this discrepancy? The room fell silent. Marcus looked like a deer caught in headlights. Victoria turned to him, her expression hardening. Marcus, is there something you want to explain? What happened next was both terrible and wonderful. Marcus, realizing he was trapped, did what cornered people often do. He lashed out. Fine, he snapped. You want the truth? Jamie is trying to make me look bad to steal this promotion. Yes, I took some liberties with the Bellingham situation, but that's how business works. You have to assert yourself, claim territory. Jamie is too naive to understand how the real world operates. Victoria's face was like stone. And the Reynolds campaign? Did you contribute to that as you've been claiming? Marcus sputtered, looking for a way out. I'm the supervisor. Everything my team does reflects my leadership, my vision. That's not what I asked, Victoria said quietly. The facade was crumbling. Marcus looked from Victoria to me, his expression changing from anger to desperation. Look, everyone exaggerates their contributions sometimes. It's part of the game. Jamie's been doing good work, sure, but I've been carrying this team for years. I deserve that senior director position. The interviewer cleared her throat again. I think I have everything I need for now. Thank you all for your time. As soon as the call ended, Victoria turned to Raj. Please send me a copy of that recording. Then she looked at Marcus. My office. Now. They left with Marcus throwing one last venomous glare at me over his shoulder. Raj, Sophia, who had slipped in during the interview, and I sat in stunned silence for a moment before breaking into nervous laughter. I can't believe that worked, Sophia whispered. I can't believe he admitted everything, Raj added, shaking his head. I just sat there, feeling a mix of relief, vindication, and a touch of sadness. I hadn't wanted to destroy Marcus. I just wanted a fair chance at the promotion I'd earned. The next few days were a blur. Victoria conducted a thorough investigation, interviewing team members and reviewing past projects. Marcus was placed on administrative leave during this time. Disturbingly, I heard rumors that Victoria had figured out halfway through the marketing interview that it had all been staged. I became a nervous wreck and could barely sleep for the next couple of days. I struggled to focus on my work as I waited with dread to be called in for a chat with Victoria. Had things gone terribly wrong for me? Was I about to be fired? Even worse, were my actions going to get my friends fired as well? Had I gone too far and outsmarted myself? My plan had sounded like a brilliant idea at the time, but if it was going to ruin our careers, I would never be able to forgive myself. I started to regret my ambition. A week later, Victoria called me into her office. I sat across from her, hands folded in my lap to hide their trembling. I tried my best to muster up a professional smile, but was just too worried, distracted, and nervous. I owe you an apology, she began, surprising me. As a leader, I should have seen what was happening in my department. Marcus has been engaging in this behavior for some time, and I missed the signs. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. The way you handled this situation was unusual, she continued. Setting up a fake interview was certainly creative. Her lips twitched into something like a smile. But I understand why you felt it was necessary. Sometimes the only way to expose a pattern of deception is to create a situation where the truth can come out. I breathed a quiet sigh of relief and relaxed a bit, but I wasn't quite safe yet. She told me that several clues had tipped her off. The interviewer's questions were too perfectly aimed at exposing Marcus's lies, and the timing of the whole thing seemed suspiciously convenient. Plus, she had actually spoken with Bellingham's CEO at a charity event just days before, and he had praised my work extensively, with no mention of any problems. Instead of stopping the interview, Victoria had decided to let it play out. I'd had my suspicions about Marcus for some time, she admitted. Performance reviews that didn't match results, clients requesting specific team members but not him, talented people leaving his department. The patterns were there, but I needed to see it firsthand. When I apologized for the deception, Victoria surprised me with a laugh. Jamie, what you did was unorthodox, but it solved a problem I'd been struggling with for months. Sometimes you need to be creative to get to the truth. Though, she added with a raised eyebrow, I don't recommend making fake interviews a regular management strategy. I nodded gratefully, thinking the chat was over, and I still had a job, but she wasn't finished. She smiled as she slid a folder across the desk to me. This is the official offer for the senior account director position. The salary and benefits are all outlined inside. We'd like you to start next month, after Harold's retirement party. I stared at the folder, hardly believing what I was hearing. And Marcus? I asked. Victoria's expression turned serious. Marcus won't be returning to Horizon Marketing. What he did goes against everything this company stands for. We value honesty, hard work, and integrity. All qualities you've demonstrated consistently over your 5 years here. I left Victoria's office in a daze, clutching the folder to my chest. The emotional swing from thinking I was about to be sacked to getting a double promotion was overwhelming. I felt like laughing and crying at the same time. Raj and Sophia were waiting anxiously by my desk. "Well?" Sophia demanded. I held up the folder and broke into a grin. "I got it." Their cheers drew attention from around the office, and soon I was surrounded by well-wishers. Word had spread about what happened with Marcus, and many people shared their own stories of times he had taken credit for their work or thrown them under the bus. It seemed I wasn't the only one he had mistreated over the years. 3 weeks later, I moved into my new corner office. The view of the city was breathtaking, especially at sunset when the glass buildings turned gold and pink. But the best part wasn't the view or the bigger paycheck. It was the chance to lead my team the right way. My first official act as senior account director was to implement a new collaboration system where everyone's contributions to projects were clearly documented and recognized. I made sure team members got credit for their ideas and created a mentorship program to help junior staff develop their skills and advance their careers. The Bellingham strategy was a huge success, earning us industry recognition and bringing in several new clients. Victoria made sure I received full credit for the work, even arranging a real interview with marketing innovators. As for Raj and Sophia, they both received well-deserved promotions to senior positions on my team. Our department's productivity and morale soared under the new structure. Sometimes I think about Marcus and wonder what he's doing now. I heard he found a position at a smaller agency across town. I don't wish him ill. In fact, I hope he learned something from what happened. Everyone deserves a second chance to do better. Looking back, I realize this experience taught me something important. Standing up for yourself doesn't mean stooping to the level of those who wronged you. It means finding a clever way to let the truth speak for itself. It means having the courage to take risks and the wisdom to know when enough is enough. I didn't just win a promotion. I helped create a workplace where honesty and hard work are truly valued. And that victory is sweeter than any corner office could ever be. So, what's the moral of my story? Maybe it's that the truth always finds a way to come out, or that real leadership isn't about taking credit. It's about lifting others up and creating an environment where everyone can succeed. Or maybe it's simply this. When someone tries to dim your light, don't waste energy fighting them in the darkness. Instead, find a way to shine so brightly that everyone can see what's really going on. If you're dealing with someone like Marcus in your workplace, remember that you're not alone. Stand your ground, document everything, build alliances with trustworthy colleagues, and don't be afraid to be creative in how you approach the problem. And most importantly, never lose sight of who you are and what you stand for. In the end, integrity and kindness are the true measure of success. No matter what position you hold or what office you work in, sometimes the best revenge isn't about you getting revenge at all. Instead, it's to live well and creating positive change that benefits everyone. That's a victory we can all celebrate. I'd love to hear your stories of workplace challenges and how you overcame them. Have you ever dealt with someone who tried to take credit for your work? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories of triumph over adversity.